Sweet Valley High! Krusty played a Batman villain?
The Simpsons is famous for roasting other franchises as much as they roast Homer. Here are some of our favorite moments The Simpsons roasted other TV shows.
Let's watch some quality scripted television.
Number 1. Morty, the Simpsons just made fun of us. They made fun of us, Morty. In the Treehouse of Horror episode from season 34 of The Simpsons, the series parodied Westworld with a segment set in a theme park that allows patrons to reenact their favorite scenes from Golden Age episodes of The Simpsons. The ending of the parody revealed that the Simpsons family had escaped their theme park prison, but they were now in a similar nearby theme park based on Bob's Burgers. While on the horizon, a Rick and Morty universe was also visible. This gag means The Simpsons is warning those newer shows that they too will one day be seen as past their prime, which some recent reviews have already said about Rick and Morty.
You killed the entire Simpsons, Morty! They're a beloved family, Morty!
Number 2. The Simpsons rips on, well, basically just Seth MacFarlane in general. In the episode The Italian Bob, the Simpsons are hired by Mr. Burns to get his expensive car from Italy. While there, some police have a book of criminals, which includes a photo of Peter Griffin and Stan Smith, basically calling out Family Guy for plagiarizing from The Simpsons, then American Dad for plagiarizing from Family Guy. Imagine if the Cleveland Show had been out then. Number 3. Have you ever considered how violent cartoons are? The Simpsons did. The famously violent pair of Itchy and Scratchy in The Simpsons is a parody of the child-friendly antics of Tom and Jerry, which is just a cartoon about animals hurting each other but without the excessive gore. The biting satire seems to have been lost over the years, probably because of how violent other cartoons have been since then. But at first it was a pretty great point being made about the kind of comedy being peddled to children. Number 4. While the Star Trek franchise continues to succeed, some of the actors may not be so lucky. The Simpsons took aim at the aging cast of the original show, and their inclusion of all the actors in as many films as possible, with their own Star Trek film. The "Again with the Klingons" line with Captain Kirk also calls out the repetitiveness of the show's and film's plots having to do with the same race over and over. Number 5. Somewhere out in space, there is no one who knows what the X-Files is. In the episode of The Simpsons, The Springfield Files, Agents Mulder and Scully, along with their original voice actors, investigate an alien sighting in Springfield. While this episode was more of a crossover than a satire, as the X-Files doesn't get as burnt as some other shows The Simpsons has parodied, the episode did manage to make fun of Mulder's penchant for long monologues, and some other trademarks from the original show, along with some classic insults of Homer's intelligence.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Number 6. We're all members of Law & Order, the Thing's animated unit. The famous TV series has had many iterations as people just can't get enough of crime and courtroom drama, and The Simpsons has noticed. In the episode Helter Skelter, The Simpsons took aim at Law & Order's reproducibility and overdramatics with Law & Order Elevator Inspectors Unit, a parody series where stakes are added to men checking elevators.
The button for 5 doesn't light up.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Oh, that's it.
Number 7. The original Batman was so silly, it's almost impossible to make fun of. Nevertheless, The Simpsons took aim at it in the episode Large Marge, where Krusty is revealed to have been a guest star as a Joker-like villain for one episode. The parody includes Adam West reprising his role as Batman, who delivers a line about having carousel reversal spray that lampoons Batman's famous utility belt that just so happened to have everything he'd need at any given time despite how specific the situation was. Number 8. It's clear the makers of The Simpsons found Married with Children to be about as dumb as Homer. The Simpsons had a pretty low opinion of the show, as the show is used by NASA scientists in Deep Space Homer to demonstrate what the average American is like. They use Married with Children as an example of literal toilet humor to demonstrate how wild and hilarious Americans think a toilet flushing is.
Why, they're all a bunch of blue-collar slobs.
Number 9. The Pokemon phenomenon is almost a prerequisite for parody. In 30 Minutes Over Tokyo, The Simpsons ripped into the original Pokemon series for a very different reason than other shows had at the time. While Bart is watching a Japanese show, he begins to have a seizure. This is actually a bit of a subtle call-out of the famously banned episode of Pokemon, where flashing lights cause children and adults to have seizures, leading to it never airing on TV again. They didn't say it's Pokemon, but trust us, this was about Pokemon. Number 10. Behind this next entry is an excellent parody. While nowadays documentaries have had lots of good parodies, this one was pretty new for the time. In the Simpsons episode Behind the Laughter, the show takes on the structure of an episode of Behind the Music, a show which looked at the stories behind famous artists. They also made fun of the specific beats which each episode of that show needed to hit, including overly dramatic moments and overly stylized artsy shots. Number 11. This joke definitely did not need any improvement. Less of a burn on Home Improvement and more of a burn on Tim Allen himself. In the episode Deep Space Homer, Tim Allen's character drives over his neighbor with a lawnmower. After doing so, he said he's going back to jail. While the joke lands as it is, it's also a reference to Tim Allen's personal life, which is fraught with problems with the law. Number 12. Before there was Homer Simpson, there was Fred Flintstone. The Simpsons is very open about the comparison of it to the Flintstones, a classic animated show that set the stage for the Simpsons to exist. But in Missionary Impossible, the Simpsons made a much more pointed jab at the classic show, with Homer trying to use an animal in a workplace setting like they would in the Flintstones, except the end result is more realistic and a little more dark. Number 13. Cheers to our 13th entry for The Simpsons parodies. Another beloved sitcom gets a gentle ribbing from Springfield. When Homer has to find a new place to drink, the show Cheers gets The Simpsons treatment with a joke about the ridiculousness of some overly complicated plots of Cheers, and a version of Norm a bit more in line with someone who drinks all the time. Number 14. Finally, Netflix gets its just desserts. The Simpsons Season 33 spoofed the prestige TV phenomenon with a two-part special, A Serious Flanders, an ambitious story that spoofed offbeat crime shows in particular and self-serious worthy dark dramas more broadly. As a parody of the type of content found on other networks, naturally, The Simpsons introduced the episode with a Simpflix banner, an obvious spoof of Netflix's logo. Number 15. This entry includes The Simpsons' biggest target for criticism, themselves. In the Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie Show episode, a popular kid show in the Simpsons universe, Itchy and Scratchy, decides to make an attempt to inject fresh energy into its world with the addition of a new character, Poochie, to keep the attention of the audience. And it doesn't go well. In the same episode, the Simpsons family welcomes a character named Roy out of nowhere. This addition of Roy is a reference to a suggestion made by Fox executives that said that the writers add a new character to the show to live with the Simpsons and to liven up the show. The staff rejected the idea and inserted Roy, without explanation, as a joke. Poochie is largely a parody of the early 90s trend of superficial characters with a rebellious attitude, like the Ninja Turtles, the Son from Dinosaurs, and shows like Daria. Oddly enough, in many ways, The Simpsons became famous as a result of Bart being promoted as this type of character, with his catchphrases like, "Don't have a cow, man," appearing on t-shirts everywhere. Those were all our favorite jokes that The Simpsons made about other TV shows. Any you love that we didn't mention? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe for more animated content. And thanks for watching The Things Animated.